We need to discuss the short-term mindset in Pokemon. Welcome back everybody, I'm the Rich Nobody and I hope y'all are having a blessed day today. So I wanted to make this video because yesterday the Pokemon Center dropped the Prismatic Evolutions Super Premium Collection and nobody really knew about it, so not a lot of people got to get it, and I think there was a big problem with bots picking up most of the product. No surprise there. But that's not the only thing I wanted to talk about. It's mainly just how the Prismatic Evolution Super Premium Collection went and how it kind of plays into all the other products that have come out recently and how they've all played on the market. Because if you noticed, the Prismatic Evolution Super Premium Collection, I'm not going to say that every single time, I promise, but it dropped on the Pokemon Center for around $90, I think it was, and the current market price for that box is around, what is it, the mid 300s or is it the mid 200s? Either way, it's a lot more than $90, so the people that picked it up probably just put it on the secondary market to make a quick buck, and it's really unfortunate, but that's kind of just how everything has been going recently. But there's a lot of aspects that show the short-term mindset in Pokemon, so first we'll just go ahead and continue talking about the pre-orders, but there's a bunch of stuff in this hobby that pertains to people just not looking at this stuff as a long-term play. Now, that kind of plays into a lot of investing talk, so today that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. But in terms of like collecting, it hurts the collecting side of, this whole hobby. So it's important to understand why things are happening for the collectors out there as well, because some of y'all are probably really confused right now, or you're just really angry. You probably know what's going on if you've been in this hobby for a while, but I'm just here to relay the information and make it as clear as possible for the people that don't quite understand. So the next product I kind of want to talk about with the whole pre-order shtick is the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. Now, of course, we had the Pokemon Center Prismatic Evolutions ETBs that sold out in 20 minutes, a little bit less than that. It was something crazy, but the current market price for those things is around, $350, $400 per. That's insane. And of course, the Pokemon Center only sold those things for around $60 a piece. So if you manage to get a bunch of those, congratulations, you're pretty rich now. But that congratulations is not super heartfelt, because I know a bunch of scalpers and bots ended up picking that up. So, for the majority of the hobby, I really, really, really doubt that a lot of people got to get one. So that's another product that got destroyed by the whole pre-order system. But if we really think about it, every single Prismatic Evolutions product that was released on the Pokemon Center got absolutely destroyed, because the market price for those things have, basically tripled, and they were rarely available for, a very small amount of time on the Pokemon Center. And I know that they released some sort of like queue thing, and I was in that for the Super Premium Collection, but the queue system just, I don't think, worked all that well. I know a lot of people were complaining that it actually wasn't working or something like that. Like, I personally sat in the queue for around about an hour, I think, before it would even let me on the site. And of course, by the time I got on the site, nothing was available. But there were a lot of people that got on and they were like able to get on the site in a good enough time through the queue. But the problem with the queue was that it was basically filtering the actual humans that wanted to buy the product, and it was bypassing, or it was basically allowing the bots to sort of get through and buy up all the product before humans could actually get the chance. Now, of course, that is all speculation. I'm not sure how true that is, but it makes sense because of how bad everything has been recently. But Prismatic hasn't been the only set that has had this problem. After Prismatic, we had the Battle Partners Japanese set released, and there weren't any like pre-order problems as far as I know, but the distributors that were selling this box to basically to the people that are going to sell the product to the customers, they were selling it for an inflated price because, of course, they saw what was going on in the Pokemon hobby. They wanted in on some of these profits, so they increased the box price from, I think it was a retail price of around like $40 or MSRP, whatever you want to call it, It was around $40, but they were selling the Battle Partners box for around, I think it was like 80 or 70, something like that. And, you know, the stores that were buying this from distributors ended up having to sell it for around like $80 to $120 just so that they can make a profit. Or, you know, maybe 120 was a little overkill for some stores that just wanted to make a profit, like a bigger profit than others. But the fact that the Battle Partners booster box was selling for like double or triple the amount of MSRP, that says something really big about the current hobby that we're in right now, because Japanese normally doesn't move their prices this much. But I could just be speaking nonsense right now because, of course, I wasn't part of the COVID boom, and for all I know, the Japanese market got messed up in that time too. You could let me know down in the comments nicely. I know some of y'all don't like to be very nice in the comments. But now let's move on to the English version of Battle Partners, which was Journey Together, and I'm sure you all know how it went. We had pre-orders go up on the Pokemon Center. Did not happen at all. It was all sold out in the matter of 10 or so minutes. It was super bad. And the pre-orders on, you know, the secondary market started to sell for upwards of $250 to $300. This box MSRP is $161. You're basically paying double, almost double, not quite double, but you're basically paying double for this box. And it got even worse there for a little bit after we heard of the whole box topper situation, because as you all know, most of the Journey Together boxes are going to come with the Ends Reshiram promo card. Some people thought that we weren't going to get a huge like load of the promo boxes, and we were going to get a lot of the like the non-exclusive box topper boxes that just didn't have the promo card in it. And people thought we were going to get more of those. So what they started to do was that, you know, when they heard that they were going to get the exclusive with the box topper in it, they started to sell that one for much higher than the one that didn't have the box topper. But what came to find out was that the exclusive one with the box topper in it is actually going to be the more common booster box that you're going to find on the regular market. And the one that doesn't have the box topper in it came from the pre-release kits, I believe it was, and that box is actually going to be a lot less common than the box topper one. So for a very small window of time, the people that were selling the exclusive with the box topper boxes, they were able to sell those boxes for much higher than they should have, and people were actually buying it because they thought the exact same thing. They thought, we're not going to get a whole lot of these, so we got to pick them up right now before it goes even higher. They made a huge mistake, unfortunately, and they're not going to be making their money back. But now the next Japanese set that is just actually released, Heatwave Arena, that is also having a huge problem. We actually did just recently get news that there's going to be some reprints in the Japanese market that pertains to Heatwave Arena, Glory of Team Rocket set, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and also Terrestrial Festival, the Japanese version of Prismatic. And I also think we might be getting a Battle Partners reprint, but the initial like pre-order or, you know, release of the Heatwave Arena set, it was going for around $80 to $120. I think it could have been a little bit more, but I know it didn't really drop below $80. It was kind of on the same sort of wavelength as Battle Partners did, which, you know, again, that's 2 to 3 times MSRP in the Japanese market. It should not be that high. That is absolutely insane. And I think we really only have like the English market to blame for this kind of thing, because for the most part in history, the Japanese market has kind of just been, you know, separate from the English market, and only when the English market booms, people start to sort of flood over to the Japanese market, just because the product in the English market gets so expensive, so they start buying the cheaper stuff in Japanese, which is really unfortunate. And I like to apologize to the Japanese market on everyone's behalf that I'm sorry that we ruin your market sometimes, you know what I mean? But after we got word of the reprint coming for Heatwave Arena, I think there's a lot of boxes going for around 80 or less right now, which is, again, still above MSRP, but it's getting lower, which I do think is a good sign. Hopefully it can kind of stay there, and these Japanese reprints sort of make people not want it that much anymore, because I do feel like the Japanese side does need to stay in their whole, MSRP zone, and we need to stay in our MSRP zone, but we're obviously not going to get there anytime soon. But the next set that we're going to be talking about is the Glory of Team Rocket set. Now, we haven't gotten pre-orders for these yet, I don't think, and we don't have a lot of cards that we've seen from the set yet. I know we've seen the Rockets Mewtwo, and we've seen the Giovanni's Meowth illustration rare. Or no, it's the Giovanni's Mewtwo too, isn't it? I don't know, but the cards look really cool, but that's like pretty much all that we've seen. We've seen a couple like common cards and some trainer cards, but other than that, not too much news on the Team Rocket set. But we've already started to see, I think, like $200 price zones for the Team Rocket set, which I get. This set is going to break the absolute market in Japanese and English because it's the return of Team Rocket, and it's going to be insane. But $200 as a rumored price for this box, I think that's kind of crazy, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree with me on that. But given that the Japanese box is going to be around $200, I can't even begin to imagine what Destined Rivals is going to look like for the English market. We were rumored to have the pre-release for Destined Rivals coming out this weekend. I've actually checked the Pokemon market like twice already today. Haven't seen anything happen yet, but who knows, it could be happening soon. But these pre-orders for Destined Rivals are going to just absolutely destroy the market. I'm telling you right now, do not buy the Destined Rivals pre-orders if you don't get it from the Pokemon Center, because the Pokemon Center, of course, is going to sell it at MSRP. But do not order Destined Rivals from people that are selling it for like, it's probably going to go for like $300, almost $400. I don't know. It's going to be something insane. But I unfortunately think that the Destined Rivals set is going to be the worst pre-order scenario in Pokemon history, because this set is super hyped up and it's in a bull market, so it's just going to add even more, fuel to the fire, I think that's what they call it, and it's just going to be terrible. It's going to be wow. But I think that's enough yapping on pre-orders. I do want to go into another couple areas of the short-term mindset in Pokemon, and the next part I want to talk about is, of course, everyone's favorite set, Shrouded Fable. And I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that, there was a lot of hype on Shrouded Fable not too long ago, and now nobody's talking about it again. I will say most of the prices that, came with the whole Shrouded Fable hype, they've kind of stayed around that area. They've definitely gone down since then, of course. But there's, a strange situation we have with Shrouded Fable, because it was super hyped up. People, saw the hype and were like, oh man, okay, so it's the only set available in retail and everywhere else. People are starting to realize like, hey, it's a good set. Let's buy it up, everybody. And then people just started selling it on the secondary market for, I don't think it was too much, because people still like were real with themselves and didn't actually like the set, but they liked the set. So they started to sell it on the secondary market for a little bit more than it probably should. It didn't last very long, and the prices started to drop, and the hype, of course, just disappeared faster than you could even say Mississippi. Not sure where Mississippi came from that, but, Shrouded Fable, we all know, like, it's a good set. I definitely like a couple of the cards in the set, but it's definitely, one of the more available sets out there, because people just don't like it all that much in terms of majority. So saying that this set is going to be super good in the future, probably not a good idea to say that anymore. I definitely hopped on the bandwagon of that set a while back, and I made a couple of shorts about it, and I definitely played into the FOMO. I bought a couple of Pokemon Center ETBs before they sold out. But if I'm being real with myself right now, and if I'm being real with you right now, I don't think this set is going to go anywhere anytime soon, because you can still walk to your local Walmart or your Target or wherever you want to buy Pokemon cards in retail, and you could probably find it on the shelf. It's going to be pretty available. But showing how fast Shrouded Fable disappeared from the community's eye just shows how fast and short-term mindset people are in this hobby nowadays. And it gets even worse when you think about how people will be looking at like TCG Player and all the areas where you can see the current market price for, Pokemon product, how people look at that stuff on the daily. Now, I know a lot of YouTube channels do sort of like daily market recaps, and I'm not going to hate on them for that because that's what they enjoy doing and that's what they post. But I think there's a huge problem in that because it turns into sort of like a day trading thing. If you know stocks, or at least, know stocks just a little bit, or if you don't know it all, I'll just go ahead and explain it. Day trading is like, purchasing stocks and then selling them on like the same day at their high point. I think that's how it goes. I had a friend a while back that was into day trading, but I personally never really looked into it. I was intrigued because he was making some money off of it, but I was like, it sounds kind of scummy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I feel like the daily market recaps are sort of headed in the Pokemon hobby. It's turning into sort of like this stock mindset, and it's just day trading pretty much. Now, again, no hate to the content creators that do that because I unfortunately watch a lot of that content because I just like to stay up to date with how things are moving, not necessarily like, oh, what should I buy today or what should I flip today, because I do have a long-term mindset in this hobby. I bought those Shrouded Fable Pokemon Center ETBs because I do believe that they're going to be going up in the future. I'm not sure how much in the future, but I will be making a profit in the future at some point. And also, for longtime viewers of this channel, you will have known that I have a PSA 10 Magikarp and Wailord GX. Currently, I think that card is going for around 1.5k, and at the beginning of this channel, I was talking about how the card was worth like $800, so it's gone up $700, but I'm holding that card for a very long time. I do believe that card is going to hit 2,000, but it's that kind of thing, like I just got $700 in unrealized gains pretty much, and I'm not planning on selling anytime soon. I think a lot of people need, whenever it comes to like the card market, maybe not necessarily the sealed market, because the sealed market pretty much knows that they have to hold for a long time to make a good profit, but the card market needs to rethink a little bit. I do know that the cards are a little bit more volatile because the prices fluctuate a bunch, but they only fluctuate a bunch, I feel like, because there's so many sold all the time, which, saying that out loud now, actually makes me understand kind of why the day trading comparison sort of comes in, because cards are a lot easier to sell than sealed product. So that makes a lot of sense now that I'm thinking about it. So what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip what I felt like I was trying to get to with saying that the daily market watches were kind of bad. I'm going to flip that to say I think it's just overabundant on YouTube. I don't think that's a problem now that I'm thinking like, the card market is basically just sort of a day trading thing. Most people shouldn't be looking at it as an investment opportunity. It's mainly just, collectors buying the cards that they want. I actually just bought like $76 of singles last night. Lots of cool cards. I'll show them, of course, once they arrive. But I think it's overabundant, which is fine. There's a bunch of people that have different opinions on the daily market, so I think it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's good to point out that it plays a lot into the short-term mindset of Pokemon. Now, the last thing that I want to discuss before I let y'all go and enjoy your day, I want to talk about the pump and dumps and the FOMO that plays along with it, because we've seen a lot of that recently. And I think the main example that I want to discuss is the Drowsy card, because I think that card was around, what was it, $20-$30, and then it jumped up to like 80, and now it's back down to like 40. It was clear that that was a pump and dump, but what sucked was that there was a lot of people that were covering the Drowsy card like, oh, this card is going insane, everybody. This card is going insane. Everybody's starting to realize, Scarlet and Violet base was super good. A lot of people saw that and they were like, okay, I don't have that card yet. It's going up in value. It could play sort of into like the Magikarp card. It could be worth $1,000 later. It's only what, $50? I'm gonna pick it up right now. I'm gonna pick up 10. I'm gonna pick up 20. I'm gonna get a bunch. And then they made like, $30 if they sold it at the high point. But if they thought that it was gonna be like a Magikarp situation, they would have held, and then they would have lost all their money because they would have, bought it at like, you know, 50, whatever. That was just an example, but like now it's back down to 40. Those kinds of things. If you see a card on the secondary market where it starts to just immediately go up like the Drowsy did, take that as like a red flag. Like, okay, maybe someone's just trying to hype up this card. They bought a bunch in bulk and they're like, you know, trying to make it look like this card is like super necessary to have in your collection now, or like a good investment opportunity. And that kind of plays into people's FOMOs to a point where it becomes really dangerous. So you really have to look at that very, very carefully and think, okay, it's going up super fast. The probability of this being a pump and dump is probably really high. So I'm going to hold back, wait for it to drop again, and then you can buy. But I think a lot of the short-term mindset in Pokemon has to do with a lot of FOMO. So when you're looking at the hobby, just be a little bit more mindful of what you're actually looking at and be more informed at how things play out, because this sort of pump and dump happens to a lot of cards, and the people that know how a pump and dump looks at the beginning will know, okay, this is a pump and dump, not going to buy right now. It'll come back down and then we'll buy it then. So just be safe out there, be more informed. That's pretty much all I got for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, because we got a lot of cool videos coming out very, very soon. I've got a lot of videos to make this weekend because I've been really, really lazy the past couple of weeks. Ooh, I have something really cool to show y'all. Okay, so there's probably like 0 people watching at the end of this, but for the real ones out there, I really appreciate y'all, by the way. But I actually have a partnership going on right now with the Poggers Energy Formula. This one is watermelon. Watermelon is like so good. I love watermelon, but I currently have a code going on their website. So if you go to the link in the description, you can go and purchase whatever you want on the Poggers website. And if you use code TRN10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off. And this stuff is just really good. And I mean, it's a smaller company. Like, I'll go ahead and show y'all that I'm kind of playing both sides here. I do own some G Fuel, but the thing is like G Fuel is already a super established brand in the hobby. I'm not sure why I said hobby, because, you know, this isn't necessarily Pokemon related, but like in the energy drink market, G Fuel is like the biggest one out there. But Poggers is like a very, I wouldn't say very small, but they're decently small sized. But they have such a good mission going on. Like they have some really nice ingredients in these things to try and make it as healthy for you as possible while still giving you good flavor and good energy. So if you definitely want to try this out for yourself, again, link is in the description. Make sure you use code TRN10 at checkout. Otherwise, you won't get 10% off, and you'll be sad, and I'll be sad because I told you to use it and you didn't listen to me. Not sure why you wouldn't, but, you know, that is what it is. But that small little advertisement was for the real ones out there that watch this video until the very end. You're probably like, you know, 1 or 2 people of the 500 subs that I have right now, so consider yourself very lucky that you got the opportunity to get 10% off of Poggers Energy. Okay, but that's actually all I got for y'all today. We'll catch y'all in the next one.